Radio merchandise is finally here. Go to soundchatradio.com right now so you can purchase your t-shirts and sweatshirts for children and adults in different color and sizes. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, and leave your comments. And also make sure you press that notification bell so you can be the first to see Wagwan when it drops.
So I decided to host a series of conversations to get to the bottom of what killed Soundclash. All of us are focused all the time on the dubplate prices, but it has to be more than that. In fact, it is more than that. So as I said in episode 1, I will get to the dubplate conversation. It's a big conversation, but it is not the sole blame on why the arena is in the state that it's in. There's a whole lot of elements that has contributed to where we are. Right? Shouts to those of you that's been following the conversation. Big up everybody who left a comment. If you haven't left a comment, please leave your comments. I read all the comments. Some of you agree with me, some of you disagree with me, but that is the basis for a great conversation. And as long as we're talking Soundclash, I don't care who disagrees. As long as we're getting to the matter. Right? As long as we're thinking the critical thoughts about the Soundclash culture, I'm good with that. Right? So episode 2, what killed Soundclash? I think that we should also be looking on rivalry or the lack of rivalry for a better explanation. Lack of rivalry has also contributed to the death or the slow dying of Soundclash. Why am I saying this? It's simple. If you look back at the history of Soundclash culture, every selector, every sound had a rival or rivals. Sound system culture wasn't built on one sound system just dominating the industry on its own. It was built on different sound teams at the same time doing extremely well in different parts of the world, in different parts of the island, and in different parts of the city. And those, because they were doing so well, of course, there became a demand for one-on-one clashes, as we used to call them face-offs, because, this particular sound team built up a really wicked fan base. This particular sound team built up a wicked fan base, and the fans wanted to know who was better. So a rivalry came out of that. And we can look at so many rivalries throughout, the history of Soundclash. Just to come to mind, Jamins and Black Scorpio. That was a good rivalry during that time. You had Kilimanjaro Black Cat was also another rivalry, right? In later years, you had the Bass Odyssey Mighty Crown, which became a little rivalry. Mataran and Fire Links, now selectors started to become rivalries. Trooper and Mataran was also a rivalry, right? I remember speaking to Johnny of Bodyguard, and he was saying to me that one of the reasons why him and Bodyguard team had to look for another selector who ended up becoming Lynx is because Bass Odyssey, who was their rival and most, competitive sound at that time, started to do this speed juggling. And they needed to also keep up with the speed juggling. So again, they went and they got someone that could help them move the music and move the speech a little bit faster, creating a rivalry between Bass Odyssey and Bodyguard. One of the best cassettes for me, and I know everybody got their favorites. Some of you are probably going to say the Jaro versus Addies in 95, right? One of my best cassettes is Bass Odyssey versus Bodyguard in New Jersey. Because it was a situation where Bass Odyssey busted, Bodyguard busted, Bass Odyssey busted, and to me, that's a great competition. I hate when I go to a sound clash where one sound dominates the whole event. Even if, it's my favorite sound, I don't enjoy the competition. I want to at least see a fight. I want to see the best, of the best. I want to see, the selectors at their best, the MCs at their best. And the only way to do that is to go up against someone that is gonna, pressure you to make you do your best in that particular performance. So we get to rivalries, right? With the emergence of Black Cat, that pushed the popularity of Ricky Trooper and Kilimanjaro. With the Jaro versus Addies in 85, it sparked a rivalry that continued between those two selectors, Trooper and Mataran. And the list goes on and on. So what am I saying? I'm saying simply this. If the industry doesn't have a rivalry, then there's nothing to look forward to. If the industry doesn't have rivalry, then there's no excitement. If the industry does not have rivalry, then there's also no interest. Every one of the major selectors that we praise today can identify who their rival was at the time that they were, excelling in their craft. There's none that can say to you that they had no rivalry. They just did it on their own without rivals. And it's because rivalry is one of the key elements to a sound clash arena. So we look at the greats and we see how they have helped each other become, elites in the industry. And we say, if we take away Lynx, then we have to take away some of the credit of, some of the spectacular things that Mataran has done. If we take away Mataran, then we're going to take away some of the spectacular performances from Lynx because they built each other through rivalry. At one time, we had a nice rivalry in New York between LP and Addies. And it helped both of them develop a larger local fan base. And of course, I'm not privy to every single rivalry, but I do know that rivalry is the main ingredients in the excitement of Sound Clash. So what's happening now? What's happening now is simply this. There is no rivalry. There is no sound systems that are clashing, a month after month, week after week, to allow an anticipation to be built to say, I can't wait till, sound A meets up with sound B. And when sound A meets up with sound B in Jamaica, then the next stop is to meet up in America. Then the next stop is to meet up in England. Then the next stop is to meet up in Canada, because that's how it was. These rivalries that I'm speaking about, most of them, they were global rivalries. They weren't local rivalries. The big sounds in Jamaica that we're speaking of, whether it's the Jaro, the Bass Addies, the Bodyguards, these sound systems created a global rivalry. And this is how they all exist. Because, you wanted to book a sound system in Jamaica and also book their rivalry. Because that people were listening to the cassettes all over the world and, they wanted to witness the competition for themselves. For instance, the first Irish and Chin event was in 96, 97, right? And that clash was Jaro versus Black Cat. And we did that clash because at the time we were hearing so much cassettes with Jaro versus Black Cat. Some days Trooper would win, some days Panther would win, that we wanted to stage that and experience it for ourselves. And we knew that it would be an automatic sell. So again, rivalry. And when we did it, the dance was Ram. Q Club, which was normally at that time a venue that people went to party and juggle and we turned it into a clash arena for one night, and we had to lock people out because of the big reputation of rivalry that Panther and Trooper had at the time. I just want to give you guys a few things to think about. Think about this, right? Think about how many times sound systems competed against each other in a month or in a 3-month period, right? Some sound systems were playing week after week after week after week against each other, and every event was a competition. Some sound systems would play, if you were, say for instance, Addis and Bass Odyssey would be playing in New York, and I'm just making up territories right now, right? And at the time that they were playing in New York, you already knew that their next encounter would be in England. And when they go to England, it might be happening in London, and it might be also happening in Birmingham. So there might be 2 competitions in one country. Addis may be flying to Jamaica to clash Bass Odyssey in the country. And all of this would be happening in a 3 months period where you, the Clash fan, could say, wow, yo, Addis out, me can't wait till that clash comes to my town, because that clash I got mad.
Yo, what's good? You ain't get that Soundchat merch yet? What you waiting on? You bugging. Go to soundchatradio.com right now and get that merch. Get yourself right.
Bodyguard was doing the same thing. Jaro was doing the same thing. All the elite sound systems were doing the same thing. So we were getting flooded with audio. And that flood with audio allowed us to want to witness these clashes for ourselves. In fact, we would hear one sound system clashing his rivalry over here, and another sound system clashing his rivalry over here. And we would say to ourselves, yo, I wonder if we take one of the sounds from the left side and take another sound from the right side and put them together, if that would be a good competition. So my argument is simply this, right? Without rivalry, without the anticipation of rivalry in the Sound Clash arena, the excitement is gone. Sound Clash is built on excitement. We as Clash fans, we pay our money and we go through the door excited because we're expecting to hear the big tunes. We're expecting to hear the customs. We're expecting to hear the counteractions. We're expecting to hear the speeches. We're expecting to see 2 gladiators fight till the finish. And what usually gives us the best entertainment value is rivalry. Clash today is different. And we all know this. Clash today is, so much different. Sound systems now clash once a year, once every 8 months, once every year and a half. Sound systems now win a clash and decide that they're just going to sit on that win because they don't want to be defeated. Or they start to say, them man in a put in the work. Me nah clash them man in the on my level for clash me. Me just win this clash. And that clash are bigger than every clash with them man they do. So them man they have to do more clash before, them can call my phone for a clash. This is what we're up against. Sound systems not wanting to clash continuously, consecutively. People who win trophies or titles and decide that they're going to take a break. How can we build a rivalry? How can the industry build rivalry that way? Also, I want you guys to bear in mind that at the height of the sound system culture, and some of you might say the 90s, I think that the excitement went into the early 2000s as well, and beyond. Because let's be honest, it's not been that long since Sound Clash was exciting. There was World Clash. There was the era before World Clash that kept us vibrant and kept us on our toes and kept us wanting to see the next competition. So I don't want you guys to make it look like Sound Clash has been dying or has died for the last 20 years. That's not the truth, right? It's been slowing down here and there, but for the most part, I give it like maybe, couple of years now. Couple of years now that there's been no excitement at all. And there's a couple more years added to that where there's been no rivalry at all. Even with the World Class series, there were rivalries. Even with the World Class series, rivalries took the stage. And that was also the ingredients that made people pack into the world-class venues because of rivalry. Today, we don't have that. During the time when everybody was at their best, and if we want to look at the dinosaurs and, and persons who are elites, icons, the Johnny Bodyguard, the Babyface from Addis, and others that also deserve merit, because sometimes we get so wrapped up in this whole dinosaur thing that we forget that there's others who played the sport and played it well, and they also deserve to be recognized and get have their merit. When we look at the eras that those sounds dwelled in, everybody was doing good. Everybody was extremely active. And that activity that was happening amongst everyone at the same time created a great arena. Not only local, but also global. So today, there is no activity. There is no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sounds doing well at the same time. There's a one sound that's where people are calling them name. And then there's a one sound over there where people might be calling their name. But they're not putting in the level of work that will allow the work that they're putting in to be globally recognized. So that's number one. Number two is the consistency of competition. And that might not be their fault, because not every young sound, and when I say young sound, I'm not talking about sounds that's young in age. I'm talking about young in fame, right? Not every young sound co-signs to the whole hide behind the wall situation and, me no want clash now, me just win a clash. Some of them actually want to clash, but guess what? There's no one to clash. On Saturday, February 5th, the Time Travel Series goes live stream. Now, if you want to be part of this epic event from the comfort of your own home, there's two options to buy. Option number one, watch the 1987 Sound Clash live online at soundchatradio.com for $30. Option number two, watch the 1987 Sound Clash live on the Soundchat Radio app for only $20. In order to watch the 1987 Sound Clash on the app, go to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store and download your free version of the Soundchat Radio app. The stream starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The clash starts at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now you can watch from anywhere in the world. Time Travel, 1987, Downbeat versus Fergo Digital, Saturday the 5th of February. And I say make it a date and don't be late. If there's no one to clash, then the arena dies. If there's not a lot of sound systems clashing at the same time in different parts of the world, the arena dies. If there's not personalities who start to stand out amongst the masses, then the sport dies. So we need a situation where Europe is busy with sound clashing. Cassettes or audios, whatever you want to call it, is, we're getting that rapidly from Europe. England is doing the same thing at the same time, right? The US is doing the same thing at the same time. Canada's doing the same thing at the same time. Jamaica's doing the same thing at the same time. That's how the rivalry's built. Because then you say, okay, the number one sound from the UK, and we know it's the number one sound at the time because it's been proven. It's not that a promoter's just putting the number one sound on a flyer, because that shit happens too, right? We know that it's the number one sound at the time because we're hearing audio of them running through everything in their territory, right? The number one sound in the UK is coming to New York to clash the number one sound in New York, or at least one of the top 3 sounds in New York that has a resume, that has a fan base. And how the hell do you get the fan base? You get the fan base by clashing and getting that audio out there and building momentum. You cannot get a fan base by clashing once or twice a year. You cannot get a fan base by clashing once every 2 years. It doesn't make sense. In fact, let me make this point, and some of you may agree and some of you may disagree. But my allegiance is to the industry and the growth of the industry. Because if, and I say this all the time, if the industry fails, then our contributions are null and void. Null and void. There's no reason to talk about what Chin did or what Bodyguard did or what, Stone Love did or whoever, because there's no more arena. So our allegiance has to be first to the arena. A sound system who clashes often and loses and wins, or even loses every time they clash, does a greater service to sound system culture than the sound system who comes out every 2 years, wins the clash, and hibernates for another 2 years. Comes out once a year, wins the clash, and hibernates for another year. The sound system that's not winning, but clashing all the time, continuously keeping the energy going in the arena, keeping the excitement going in the arena, is doing a greater service to the growth and upkeep of the arena than the morons that clash every 2 years. History will show it that you cannot be a champion sound and clash one time for the year, 2 times every 2 years. Who invented that shit? It doesn't help the growth. It doesn't contribute to rivalry. In fact, when you go and hibernate, you're out of the conversation. And if you're out of the conversation, then you cannot be in line for the next big rivalry in the arena. Real talk. It's facts. So one of the things that's killing the Sound Clash arena, right, is rivalry. It's my opinion. I think it's factual as well. Some of you will agree. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. But rivalry is one of the main ingredients. Rivalry has built all of the selectors and sound systems that we love today, that we worship today, right? Rivalry has created all of the dub plates and the anthems that we love. Because of rivalry, selectors and sound owners had to go in those studios and get some of the best dub plates to compete. Everything that we enjoy somehow is tied into the rivalry that once existed in the arena. And if we can't get back that rivalry, if we can't recreate it amongst the new generation of sound systems that's inheriting the Sound Clash arena, then the arena will just, it's just what it is. So episode 2, what kills Sound Clash? A lack of rivalry.
Thank you for watching another episode of Sound Chat Radio on Irish and Chin's YouTube channel. If you like what you saw, please subscribe by hitting the red button. If the button is still red, that means you did not subscribe. Also, like and share. And don't forget to leave a comment. In fact, press that notification button while you're at it.